Hello everyone, this is a very basic and introductory introduction on how to organize your files when you're starting to work with Dreamweaver, and how to define your site, as well as how to create basic links and embedding videos and maps into your website. So the very first thing that you want to do is to make sure you have a folder, and make sure you have a folder with your name and whatever week you're on, or it could be the name of your client once you start working for your clients. Basically just making sure that you have an asset folder that includes, let's say, the images that you want to use for your site, as well as another folder that contains the textual information that you want to add to your web page. We also would want to add like a CSS folder here, but right now we're not going to really do anything with that. I'll just add it. That's what it stands for, cascading style sheets. Basically, this is how you would format your web pages in terms of choosing color palettes, adding leading and margins and padding and so on. And HTML is where you actually build your site. It's basically the engine of your website, whereas the CSS is how you make your web page look and feel based on your color choices and typography choices and so on. So once you have your folder, and again, you want to make sure you have everything that you need in those folders. And one of the things we're also going to discuss later is about image compression. So you want to make sure this number is never over like 2 megabytes for now. Preferably under 1 megabyte, and this is basic stands for kilobyte. 1,000 kilobytes would be 1 megabyte. So the smaller this number, I mean, you don't want it to be too small because the images may look pixelated. And we will have a whole session, and I have at least 3 other videos on image compressions that we're going to review later down the line. But for this, the purpose of exercise, you want to pay attention to image formatting, which is JPEG. So you want to use either JPEG or PNG for images. And again, want to make sure your photos is preferably under 1 megabyte, definitely no more than 2. For like the really large banner images, those tend to be usually bigger. And this is a Word document, and there are going to be textual information that I'm going to be copying and pasting into my page. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to launch Dreamweaver. And Dreamweaver is not like Photoshop or Illustrator. It's more like a pointer program, which means that it's going to point to whatever folder it contains your assets. So it's not going to embed those items. So the first thing you want to do, you want to make sure to tell Dreamweaver where your files are located. And if you come back here from the top menu, if I click on the file, automatically it says, oh, I don't know where your files are located. Do you want me to manage your site? Which means, do you want to tell me where your folder that you're going to be working off of is located? So I'm going to click manage site, and I have quite a few different sites here. So but basically when you start, you're not going to have this is going to be empty. So the first thing you want to do, you want to create a new site, and I'm going to call it DGN 340 week 1 or 2, and I'm going to save. And from the edit button here, if I click it, it actually, the folder right below it, I missed that one. So but you want to click on the folder right below when you typed in your name. And if you forgot to do it like I did, all you have to do is make sure you're on the right site and click the pencil tool. And you click on this folder, and you want to make sure to go to where it's located, which was in my desktop. I'm going to say save, and you want to say OK, and you want to say done. And now you can see the file appears here, and this is basically just shows everything that this is kind of it's mirroring what is inside of this folder. So if I change the name of this folder, or if I change the location of this folder, basically you would have to redefine your site again. So if I put that in here, it basically doesn't know where the files are at again. So I would have to come back here, go to site, go to manage site, go to same location that I had here. Again, you would have to reconnect your files if you change the location or if you change the name of your folder. Again, I'm going to click on the edit tool here, and here it says, oh, your folder is on the desktop, but I know that I moved it, right? So you would have to just click on this folder again. And now I know I put it in this miscellaneous folder, and it's right here. So that's very important. I have more students spend so many hours trying to troubleshoot where their files are or why the pages are not loading properly. That's because you either change the location of your folder or change the title of your folder without telling the program where the new location or the new name is. So this is really important. So the very first of your website, so I'm going to choose file new, and I'm going to, for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to just choose the HTML regular format, make sure it's a HTML5, and I'm going to say welcome to my first website. And I'm going to make sure it's set to HTML, and I'm going to create it. And the very first page of your website should be named as index.html. So immediately after I do that, I'm going to do file save as, and I'm going to change this to index, and it automatically knows the new location of my file because I told it to. And you want to just choose save it in the root, the first level. You don't want to put it in any of these folders. You want to just save it inside of that Zenhari or the name of your folder. So as you could see that I have the way that this is broken down, HTML is a tag-based program. So with every opening tag, you have a closing tag that is identified with this /. So I have my head tag. HTML basically is like the entire page. The head tag would contain, let's say, your style sheets, which basically tells the program how to display the look and the feel of your site based on the color palette, typography choices, and so on. And this is the title of my page, and this is the body copy. So as if I actually preview this, and you can see from the top menu here I have 3 tabs. The first tab basically keeps me in the code view. The split tab gives me the option of looking at the code as well as looking at my actual page. And you have the live tab versus the design tab, which the live tab basically shows you what it would look like if it was on the browser. It doesn't always work right, but that's the gist of it. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just preview this page. And as you can see, there's nothing there, right? So it's because everything that you want to add on your page, you could just see the title of my page, welcome to my website. And so the title, that's the only place you can use special characters and you know, basically you can use these special characters in the title, but you don't want to be using them anywhere on the page because the HTML program uses a lot of these characters within its naming convention. So you want to be careful with that. And I have a list of all those special characters and the codes on week 1 class lectures on Blackboard. So again, it's really important to also pay attention to the colors that are being used. So the static text means the text that doesn't do anything is identified as white. Anything that's involves like kind of a like a CSS, or basically it's part of the HTML programming, it's identified as different colors like oranges, greens, and some other purples, and we'll get to that in a minute. The body copy is the only place that you can actually put in information that then becomes visible on the back end, which means that if you preview it, then you can actually see it on a browser. So I'm going to go ahead and come back and open up my text page. I'm going to go ahead and copy this text here. And again, for anything to become visible on the browser, it has to be within the body copy. So it has to be within this opening tag and closing tag of this body. So I'm going to go back in the middle and simply paste the text. And as you can see, it basically added the textual information to the page based on the default setting in this program. So I'm going to go ahead and actually so I have my home, and of course this is not formatted, so we usually want to kind of format our the information on the page using cascading style sheets, which I'll be showing you again later down the line. Right now I'm going to just show you a couple of additional tools. So you want to make sure you have your files and panels visible. You want to make sure your properties is visible as well. So in the properties tab, you can see that I have 2 different buttons here. So one, basically if I had my CSS or cascading style sheets that's going to format this information on this page, I would click here and I would find it and I would address it. And we'll talk about that in the coming weeks. But for now, just make sure you pay attention. If you're trying to do something with the paragraph and you don't see the option, look at these 2 buttons and see where, if you're on the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my HTML, and I'm going to move this down a little bit. So there are options that are, that you could use by default in Dreamweaver to add different sizes, font sizes, and changing like the static text to, let's say, a header text. So this is a paragraph, but let's say if I want to make home like a header, I'm going to just simply click that here, and if I just choose header 1, you'll see that automatically, or header 2, you'll see that automatically it adds like a tag for the headers for me. And I could, if I want to change it to 1, which is bigger, so header 1 is the biggest one, header 5 is the smallest one. So I can just simply come back in the thing and change it, and automatically you'll see that it just changes in size. And I can say welcome. I could change it again. Remember that I could edit it here, or I could edit it there. So I'm gonna just sort of do it here for now. and you can see that automatically it updates here. And so if I make it return, you'll see that this numbers and special characters basically means like extra space. So as soon as I do that, you see that it automatically moved this other paragraph lower on the page. So now if I want to have another header, so let's say if I want to just do, I can either copy and paste this. I can come back down here, and this one maybe I'm going to say about. Sometimes it's easier to edit it like on the actual text here. And let's say this one I want to make it so that it's a different color. Oops. Different size again. I'm going to come back here and maybe choose like a smaller size. And you can also assign colors here. I'm going to go ahead and save the page so that I don't lose the information. You can also add images to your page. So maybe on the about, I'm going to just choose, you know, if I added like a, see what picture they're doing there. So you can drag the picture and bring it in on the page, or you can choose the insert button. So I'm going to go ahead and actually do that. Insert image, and I'm going to say insert after. So you can either, like I said, drag and drop, or sometimes if you do drag and drop, it may not like it as much. So yeah, so okay, so maybe we do that. And this picture is a little big, and as you could see, there's a path that's created for me here, which says, oh, you have your pictures in the assets folder, images. This is carousel 1. It's 600 wide by 390 height. So if I want to make this a little smaller, you want to make sure it's proportionate. So if I let's say I want to make this 500, then you want to make sure to, you know, instead of 600, if I want to make it 500, you want to go ahead and make sure that you take 200 off, or 100 off this and 100 off that. So that would be 290. So it's all proportional. So that's my picture. I can give it an ID in case I want to do other things with it. ING stands for the ID. And one thing that's interesting here, when I typed it, you always want to use lowercase, but I purposefully actually used an uppercase here to show you. So we're not supposed to use uppercase in our naming convention, but let's say you made a mistake and you kind of did that. Like I purposefully did all of this and this so that I show you how you can correct it. So all you have to do is you have to be in this panel. You have to make these changes in the Files panel in the Dreamweaver. You want to just click on the name and just make this correction. And it says, oh, the index is connected to this. Do you want to update the link? You want to make sure to say yes. So this is really, really important. You never want to go and change it in here. And you see, as I did that, it automatically updated it here. So I'm going to do those, make those changes here as well. You have to click once to select it. And I'm going to and press the return so that it unselects it. And again, I'm going to do the same here. It keeps wanting to launch Photoshop, so actually just make sure, yeah, you just make sure you just click once, and then it says, oh, do you want to update it? You want to make sure to say yes, update. So this is how you, if you make a mistake and use uppercase. I mean, nowadays the browsers are more forgiving, but you know, if you're using an older browser, if you have uppercase, some of the pictures don't load up. So now we add an image, and we add some text, and maybe here, you know, you can just say some things about yourself. I can actually, if I wanted to, I can just come back here. I can highlight the code, use Command X, and then maybe just come back here under this about. You see where there's a paragraph tag, right? I can simply just paste it in there. I'd like you to get comfortable with using you know, the code panel more often. And here, as you can see, I have 2 extra P tags. P stands for paragraph, H stands for headings, and of course we learned that everything that, if I want to show everything on a page, it needs to be within a body tag. And I have my picture right here. So let's do a couple more things. Let's add an email link, and you can email me at, you know, that's whatever text you want to put on there. And here, then you would just put your email address. And then automatically it'll insert it. Again, as you could see, anything that involves a link is identified by with the orange color, and a green, like a href stands for like a link, like a hard link. So for example, here we have the link is pointing to the asset folder, which is the images, and then you have the picture here, and this is the width and the height of the photo. And here I have my email link, and as you could see, the hard code for the email link is mail to : Eisenhower. So I could, instead of going through these steps, I could have simply just typed in this code in here in my files and panels property window, right here, mail to. So there's, like I said, a couple of different ways that you could do this thing. And I don't like the location of this email, so I'm gonna press the return key to move it down. Now, just gonna add 2 more things for this part of this video instruction. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna just get rid of the ads email name. So 2 other things I'm gonna show you here. One, I'm gonna show you how to embed a video and embed a map. Okay, now we're gonna learn how to embed video content from either YouTube, Vimeo, or any other platforms that allows you that functionality. So basically the steps will be all the same. So I'm going to use the YouTube for this demo. I'm going to click on the video, and you want to come down here and choose the share option. And from the share option, you will see an embed option. You can also have just copy and paste the link, but the embed option, and it basically tells you, it asks you when you want to start the video, at what point. Then you just check that, and then click copy, and I'm going to come back here, and I think I want to put it right after the closing tag of my first paragraph. Press the return key. I'm going to paste it. It's going to take a little bit for it to view, and you don't want to worry about it because it actually does play. And from Down here you have you see a little globe to the right hand side. This is your preview option. You can click on that and choose Google Chrome. You can see that I have my links here. The video, if I click it, it's just going to play on the page. I have my photo here and I have my email. The email is not going to really work because it needs to be uploaded to a server, and now I'm working locally on my computer. So, and now let's go ahead and close this, and I'm going to show you how to embed and Google Maps. So I've basically just used let's see, and then maybe so you want to click on this menu option here, and when you go down you have an option to share or embed map, and you can either choose the basic link, but we want to embed the actual map on the page. So I'm going to go ahead and say embed map, copy HTML, and maybe come back here, and maybe you'll just maybe below that, below the email link, I simply paste the code. Oops, actually, you have to paste the code here. I'm going to paste the code, and if the map is bigger than what you anticipated, you can again do the same thing I did with the picture. So this is 600 by 450, so I want to make sure it's proportionate. So I'm going to make this 500 by 350 so that it fits properly. It's the same size as the picture. Maybe from here I'm going to move this down, and I'll just copy this title here, and I'm gonna come back up here and simply paste the contact here. And if I highlight it, I know that was the header 2. I'm going to go ahead and choose header 2, and so this would be like the map and the email and so forth, so on. Of course, it's not really well designed or formatted. We're just adding content at this point. So one last thing that I'm going to show you is whatever picture, image, or text that you have, you can actually link it to an external site. So for example, here I'm just gonna move this down. I can say, please visit my website, and if I highlight it here, the text here, I'm gonna actually go to my own website. So I'm gonna copy this link here, and I'm going to come back, and I can highlight the whole thing, but if I just want my website to be the link, I'll just keep this my website, and then I'll paste the link to my website in the link tab under this properties inspector. And as you can see, there's a tiny little window right next to it that says target. You want to click that and make sure it opens to blank. And if you don't see it, make sure there is that arrow key that's visible. So now this website, if I click it, you'll see that it will go to my own website. I can also make any image on my page to link to where I want it to link. So maybe this picture I want it to link to or maybe Adobe. So again, you want to click it, and then let's say this is the link. This is a very long link though, but it doesn't matter. I mean, just copy. I'm gonna maybe just delete this. Just copy the whole URL. Come back here. Make sure you're on the properties inspector, and click the options just to see that you're in the right place, and then paste the code here and make sure the target is set to blank. Sometimes you have to actually click a couple of times before you can get the drop down arrow, and you want to make sure it's set to blank. That means that the picture is going to open up on its own window. So Dreamweaver allows us to add a lot of complexity to our website, adding different types of media without having to actually hand code all these tags that's basically added for us based on these few things that I showed you. So just to quickly go over, I'm clicking on the code tab. You'll see that you have an opening HTML, closing HTML. Every single thing on your website needs to be within these two parameters. The next part is the body tag. Anything that's in the body tag is visible to the viewer, whoever is visiting the site, your website. This section under the head tag is for when we add cascading style sheet to format our page, because as you can see, we put the content on there, but the page is not formatted. We don't have a color palette. We haven't had any paddings or margins added to the text and the images on the page. So we'll look at it again, but this is where once we add this cascading style sheets, that's where it would go. It would go right between these head tags. And then we obviously have our headers that I can use header 1, I can use header 2. If I decide that I want everything to be the same size, I can manually go and change it. Just change it to 1. Make sure you change both the closing tag and the opening tag and the closing tag. And then, as I mentioned, you want to pay attention to the colors that Dreamweaver uses. So all the links are, you can see this identified in orange. The href, which means this creating whatever the links are identified as green. So this is, the colors really would help us identify what we're doing easier just by just looking at them. And then of course here I have my the link to my website that's blank, and I wanted to make this one also same, like bigger. Remember, header 1 would be bigger than header 5. So now I'm going to save the page, and you can preview it from clicking down the bottom right hand side, preview on the browser, or you can do it from file, preview on the browser. So real-time preview. Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways to test your site, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So like I said, we added a bunch of content on the page. However, we need to be able to format it, because as you can see, it does not look very good. So, but we have our video, we have our text, we have our headers, we have this one is going to link to Adobe. So if I click it, it will go to Adobe. And this is my map. If I click it, you can see that it tells me, how long it's going to take for me to get to this location. If I click here, it'll take me to my photography website. As you can see, it's very easy to add different types of media and content to your website by simply copying and pasting from a Word document and changing the headers on your pages based on this, desired size, as well as embedding videos and creating links. However, the pages that are created using only HTML and CSS, they are not very sophisticated looking, and they don't adjust to the different medium that you're going to be looking at the websites through. So for example, if you're going to look at this page on a phone, it's going to dramatically look different than what we're looking at right now. So for this class, once we learn the basic language of HTML and the tag concept of tags and just the basic functionalities of creating links and adding pages, we are going to shift to creating responsive design websites, and I'm going to just share with you a couple of student examples. So this is one example. Oops. And these are basically all responsive design sites from my previous students. And as you can see, you want to pay attention with to the pictures, color palette, and this particular site would adjust. As you can see, as I resize it, it basically displays how the page would look if you were to look at it on a tablet or on a phone. And that is why we utilize responsive design sites for this specific purpose. And of course, they look a lot more sophisticated. And so the responsive design sites, there are a lot more complexity attached to them because they utilize multiple languages. So for example, if I look at this particular student site, you can see besides having multiple HTML pages, you have many different separate cascading styles attached to it, and also you have JavaScript files that's gonna create animation and all kinds of interactivity that basically looks and feels a lot more sophisticated than a generic page such as this one. So these we would learn how to utilize these tools. The beauty of Dreamweaver is that we do not have to sit and write code, hard coding such as these. We can actually utilize the available templates, responsive design templates, and customize those templates so that we can create web pages that look and feel as we intended for them to do. So so again, the first part of the class is for us to learn how to learn the basic functionality of the program, and then we'll move into learning how to create responsive design websites.